Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm going to read a story again. This time, it's not going to be war torn, it's going to be one of my short stories. I'm going to alternate between the short stories and the book. What you have to know about the short stories is that they are related, so every short story is related to the other. There is not a real like order you have to read them in. It's more or less that the order I'm going to read them in is the most easy to understand the characters. But you can read them in every order you want. You can read the first one, you can read the last one first. It does not matter, you will not be lost. Not very much, at least. So, yeah, these short stories are not related to War Torn in the slightest. So, they're just a completely separate like universe and part of a completely separate story. Yeah, so the first short story that I'm going to read for you is called Dead, which is the first one in the installment. The land bathed in light as the sun rose over the grassy hills. In the distance, the sea battered against the rocks. The sound of waves and the smell of silt filled the early morning air. The strong sea wind blew the petals of the cherry trees that stood like ancient monoliths next to the path. Their branches pointed toward the sea, as ages of constant whirling gale had forced them to grow that way. On the path that was paved with white stone over the sloped terrain walked a figure. The sharp breeze played with the Sedona orange cloak that he had draped over his shoulders as if it was a scarf. Far ahead, a single house resided on the cliff. As he came closer, he could hear the sounds of horses coming from the fenced plain on the other side of the road. The individual stopped a couple of meters from the front door and whistled once. From the house, footsteps came towards the entrance. A man opened and looked for the person who had made the noise. When he saw the man in front of him, he stiffened up as if he had seen a ghost. The cloaked man started pacing back and forth, but kept his head towards the farmer. Besides a cloak, he wore white plating armor and a mask that emulated the face of an owl. By his right thigh, hanging from a belt, a long-edged sword poked out from under the cloth. A pair of brown feathered wings stuck out from behind him, and on his head a row of plumes on each side had been given space by two holes in the hood of the cloak. A golden V-shaped band circled around the top of his hood like a crown. A female voice asked something from inside the house. When her husband didn't answer, she came to him but stopped speaking when she saw the visitor. The farmer said one word and turned back to his uninvited guest. The woman now silently retreated inside the house. On his bare feet, the farmer walked up to the imposing statue. His blue tunic waved in the wind. His petals flew by as snowflakes. The masked stranger stopped pacing and grabbed the handle of his katana. The farmer now revealed a katana of his own, that he had concealed by the folds of his kimono. The two intensely stared into each other's eyes, judging when to strike. The silence was deafening, as only the sound of the sea broke the calm. It happened in an instant, as the farmer drew his sword towards his opponent, but the stranger was quicker. The farmer held on to his waist, dazed by the sudden lack of feeling in his limbs. He let go of his blade and fell on his knees. The masked man now turned his blade with the point down and whispered, "Anata no tsumi wa yorusa, rumasu furu yuyen." With one thrust, he pierced the other's heart. The farmer fell face first on the ground. From inside he heard a scream. The woman sprinted towards her husband and started crying uncontrollably. "Nase!" she sobbed. The masked man now revealed his face. With a cold expression he said, because he had debt to pay. And without another word, he turned his back to the scene and left on the wind. And that concludes this story. I hope you liked it. As you might have noticed, it is a little bit inspired by Japanese standoffs. I hope I did it justice. My Japanese is not that great, I know, so it might not have come over as strong as it should have been. If you want to know what the translation is of that, just go onto Google and type it in yourself, or you can copy it from the story. So yeah, that concludes this part of the short stories. So like I said, they are short stories, but they are linked into each other. There are at the moment 3 of those short stories, but there will be more coming. And once they do, I will also read them here, of course. Next time, I'm going to read for you War Torn, the first chapter, but in the meanwhile, you will have to do with other content from Watcher and maybe Gernot and other people. I'll do this every week, and I'll alternate between stories. So yeah, that's basically concluding this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you subscribe. You never know. YouTube might make it payable, you know. Wouldn't be up to YouTube because they are very stupid sometimes. They do some stupid things. So subscribing might be paid sooner or later. So it's best to just in case subscribe to us, so you get notified for any videos. In the link, in the description, there will be links to interesting places like our Discord server, my YouTube, which is basically dead, but I'll upload like once in the 3 months, maybe more. Watcher's YouTube, and some other places and interesting links to, for example, my wattpad. Yeah, that concludes the video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one, which I don't know what it's going to be or if I'm going to be in it, but basically, I'll see you then. Goodbye.